Hello, everybody. Welcome to another DMV Comic Book Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Freddy, and today I'm joined again by my friend Polly. Hi, Polly.
Hi, everyone, and it's really nice to be here again.
So glad to have you back. Um, I mentioned on the last podcast that my goal was to kind of, bring back everyone who's been a guest on the show so far. Um, I'd like to do a big group podcast, but unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to work with our time difference. You're coming to us from Serbia.
Yeah,
So that's all right. I'm like, let's just make it work one more time, have a big return podcast. Um, Glad to have you back.
glad to be here.
All right. So today is Wednesday, April 24th, and we just watched season 1, episode 7, Bright Eyes of X-Men 97. I'm sure we have a lot to say, so let's dive right into it. Um, let's start with the opening credits. I don't know if they changed up the opening too much this time around. Did you notice any major changes?
I mean, I did finally notice that they removed Gambit from the opening. I'm
Oh
still
yeah.
not fine with that. Okay,
Right, it's still painful.
it still
I
hurts.
think he
Yeah,
was missing last episode as well, but yeah, he's
yeah,
still gone. We have Nightcrawler taking his place. Um,
which is
right off the
awesome,
bat,
but like not at that price. And
yeah,
I
it's
think I don't. I,
bittersweet.
I didn't actually notice whether the professor was back or not. I
I
think he
didn't see the
wasn't.
professor back. Like Professor X has been gone since episode 1. Magneto is now gone. Um, Bishop is gone. Storm is still gone. I was kind of hoping for Storm to come back this
Yeah,
episode, but she's still gone.
exactly.
Um, Madeline is gone, and now Jean is back. She's been back since episode 3, or episode 4. So it's definitely been, a rotating cast, and
It's cool,
I'm sure we'll have
actually.
more to say on that later. Yeah, like I kind of get it because X-Men has so many characters. It's hard to fit all of them in one episode, but um, it is sad to see some of our favorites missing. I think I did see one extra little snippet of Nimrod in the
Yeah,
beginning of this.
yeah, I think I saw him too, and I thought, oh my God, not Nimrod.
Yeah, they made sure
Nimrod
to
is
give
the
us a few
biggest
clips of
pain in
Nimrod.
the butt.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yes, we'll have lots to say about him. Um, but yeah, otherwise we just see the same scenes of like the Phoenix and
I think there's
I think
Shiar.
a little bit of the Shi'ar and all that. But then this episode starts right up with, sadly, Gambit's funeral.
Yeah, I'm still
Going
mad.
out for my
Okay.
for my Cajun homie over there. Like this is so sad.
Yeah, this
Um,
is kind of like I remember the last episode, and not the last episode, but the Remember Me episode, which you were totally right about, by the way.
I was half right. I
But
kind of missed.
yeah,
I didn't know
except
he was
for
gonna
the
die. Like this, that was so
yeah,
shocking.
that was like really unexpected and damn.
Yeah, so it sounds
Really,
like
seriously.
we're both still grieving. We're all still grieving
Yeah.
Gambit. The X-Men are grieving Gambit.
Yeah, nobody's
Um,
grieving Magneto.
no, interestingly, I mean, later on Kurt does mention that Rogue lost Gambit and Magneto,
Yeah,
but
but
we'll come back to that towards the end.
sure. But
Um,
like, mm, what did I want?
did
Oh,
you
I actually expected Storm to show up, at least there, because
right?
like we know that he's one of her best friends in the
Yeah.
comics, not in the show.
In the show too, I remember in the old series she had a line like, "Nobody knows Gambit better than I," and then she
Oh,
gives
yeah,
Rogue some
actually,
side
yeah.
eye.
Which is like, you probably noticed that I keep posting that Storm and Gambit is like one of my favorite ships that never happened.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if we'll ever get that,
Yeah, I don't
unfortunately.
think we will, because like them Gambit and Rogue are married in the comics, and that's pretty final, unless they get a
Hmm.
divorce, which I think they should.
Oh,
I
spicy
think like
take.
Yeah, I know that not a lot of people agree with me, and like I do like Gambit and Rogue, one of my favorite ships, but like this
Hmm.
one just doesn't let me go. I don't know.
Interesting. Have you read any of the comics where Gambit and Aurora are like friends and close friends?
Like Crow, really good friends, right? Yeah,
Well, I mean,
actually,
it's kind
yes. That's Extreme X-Men, and like any occasion they make out on any possible occasion. Even I
of
think it
well,
was even before he proposed, like right before he proposed to Rogue. I think it was like a good luck kiss. Excuse
like
me.
yeah, I think I remember that as well. I think for me, I don't really ship them just because like when I think of Aurora and Gambit, like I just think back to like Gambit's first appearance. He was hanging out with Storm after she had been
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
transformed into
This
a
is
little
this
girl,
kind of, yeah,
and
puts a
and
little
then
bit.
even they had like a and then they had like a mini series where again Storm was like younger than usual. So I feel like Gambit kind of sees her as like a little sister, even though most of
I
the time
think I
she's grown up. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think that it's the other way around. But it's not a sibling relationship, definitely, because this chemistry they have, it's not a sibling thing. Uh, no, but this was since this wasn't the first book I wrote. I mean, wrote. Yeah, I wish I wrote that. Read with them in it. So that doesn't kind of indicate their first meeting for me. So yeah, it's probably just my perception that's different. But um
No, that's all
and
right.
I never really wanted them to get together and get married. I just think
Mhm.
that they could have like an interesting thing going on. And that would be cool.
Yeah. Like I mean the X-Men, they all date each other
Yeah,
from
yeah,
time to
yeah. It's
time.
like
So,
this group of people who everyone dated each other. Yeah. They kind of have this thing going on, yeah. But
But
anyway, I
yeah,
was expecting Storm to show up,
me
which
too.
yeah, like I don't understand why she wasn't there. I think it's wrong.
Well, hopefully next episode. Like I was also surprised she didn't make it to the funeral. And I was also kind of surprised that the funeral was like only for Gambit. Like I didn't really see if there were graves for like the other mutants.
I don't
I
think they
mean,
like it doesn't seem like they would drag all the dead bodies or remains to the
right,
institute
but
and like
they
to
could
the
put like a big memorial or something, or I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of interesting just the timing of it because we have Gambit's funeral, and then later on they go to Genosha and they're still like, trying to
recovering.
recover
Yeah.
bodies and
Well,
everything.
but
So
X-Men, like only the main ones deserve attention.
I guess, yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. And we have most of the main ones here, minus Storm, minus, the ones we've lost. But
But the
they did not even bury Madeline. Like if you can bury Gambit, you can bury Madeline, Cyclops. That's the mother of your child.
I think Jean had little issues. Her body mysteriously burned.
Yeah. Like
But actually, what I did like that Thieves Guild showed up.
yeah, the Thieves Guild showed up. We see some of Remy's old partners in crime. I think one of them might be
Mm.
his brother. I think one of them is Kandra. Um, yeah, I don't know all their names, but
I think
we
like
definitely see
I
them.
don't remember was Belladonna alive.
It might have been
His ex-wife.
Belladonna
And
instead of
I
Kandra.
think
I'm
it
not
was
sure.
her, yeah.
Hmm.
But I
And
don't
I think
remember whether they
standing
killed
next
her
to
or
them, we
not.
see Aurora. Did you catch that? Like, she had like kind of like black hair, but it's kind of like white as well.
Uh,
She was
I
standing
didn't
next to them.
exactly catch who that was, but possibly.
Yeah, I think that's Aurora, but I'm like, why would she be there? Like, I don't know if
I
she
mean, I
knows
don't
any of
even
these
know if
people.
she was on the show before. I don't remember. I remember that North Star was.
Yeah, I think she was there with North Star when they did the whole Alpha Flight episode, but who knows? Maybe they're just throwing in cameos there.
Maybe
Um,
it was more.
well, Morph is there, but he seemed to be standing somewhere else, but who knows? Um, so we got to mention that we've got Nightcrawler forming the uh ceremony. Um, as a priest. He's very religious. He's kind
Yeah,
of serves as the spiritual counselor for the X-Men. So it's like perfect timing for him to be here. It's just very sad. And he gives a nice eulogy for Gambit. And Jubilee's very upset. She's like, you know,
why is Rogue
why
not
isn't
there?
Rogue here? Rogue isn't
Mm.
here either. She's noticeably absent. And Nightcrawler kind of mentions how um, Rogue is dealing with more than just mere grief after what happened in Genosha. So then we find Rogue. She
That was
is,
so epic.
yeah, like she's attacking
Yeah,
top secret US government facility, and she's just like not
yeah,
holding
that's
anything
like
back.
top level Rogue. It's absolutely awesome. And actually, that's kind of the expression of grief that I would expect from her,
Hmm.
judging
Yeah, she's
from like her character that we know.
yeah, it's like she's in
Yeah,
the
she
stage
would.
of anger. Like
Yeah, she
she's
went straight to
big
anger.
mad. Hmm. Doesn't have time to mourn Remy. She's like, no, we need to stop
I think
these
she
people who
will get there eventually. She just
she might
started
get
with
there
the wrong
eventually.
stage. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like
I don't think that I think that she mentioned that she has to like accept it.
well,
She
I don't
hasn't
know.
accepted it yet.
I don't know if they will accept it, because in the end you've got
Time
Cable
travel.
appearing. Yeah, and like maybe he will help them undo it.
I
Maybe
hope
not.
so, but I mean, I get the feeling from the show that they just want us to believe that it's final because they didn't pull any of that with Magneto. Like they
Right, like
didn't
it's
throw a big funeral or a funeral at all. They didn't even acknowledge most of the time that he's dead, and we then later see that in the brilliant X-Men
yeah,
fashion.
like it's very nerve-wracking to try and figure out what the show is going to do, like whether they'll undo some of it or not. Like we lost a lot of people. Even if we didn't lose Magneto, we lost. It looks like we lost Banshee. It looked like we lost Dazzler, Callisto, and probably way even
Yeah,
more.
this was a surprise to me. Like I did not expect that they would go
Yeah,
right
so
her
like
out.
that's a lot of people if they're really gonna commit to them being dead, but um it, it could go either way, and I'm willing to see how it goes. Um it's interesting that when Rogue is attacking the military facility, she we see a cameo from Thunderbolt Ross, and he mentions the Hulk. So
Yeah.
already we're like acknowledging the broader Marvel universe.
Yes, and then we acknowledge it even more
Hmm.
when she encounters Cap. Yeah.
Yeah, later on, we can skip to that part. Yeah, she encounters Captain America.
That
Um,
is that was awesome because well we already knew that he would show up at least his shield, but it's cool seeing her with a shield and
mhm.
like knowing that they actually not in the show on the show but in general in the comics they did work together because Rogue was an Avenger for like several times. Mm,
Yeah,
and
like
it yeah
it makes sense to see Cap here because he is often one of the Avengers who's most interested in allying with the mutants, like going as far back to I think Avengers 15, I think in the 60s. Like that's when the Avengers recruited um Scarlet Witch and
Scarlet Witch and
Quicksilver,
Pietro. Mhm.
and so they were inviting mutants from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants to the team to try and help them kind of you know, get a better reputation
Yeah,
and have
that
opportunity to be good.
the thing that I loved here is that once again, like we haven't seen that anywhere else before, except for in the comics. But yeah, when Rogue schools Cap about like his mm, reluctance to represent mutants, not represent, he is not one, but to stand beside them in
Hmm.
this situation. That's amazing because the mutants they've had this thing going on for a long time. They always try to like get some support from Avengers and other teams, and they never get any, despite
Yeah.
like Fantastic Four having a kid who's a mutant, and despite the Avengers in general working with them, they never get the required support. Like not during the M Day, not during the Genosha incident.
Yep.
Never. And then that reminds me. about the time when there was during Civil War was a Superhuman Registration Act, and the
Hmm.
mutants were like, "No, we're not gonna be dealing with that."
They're
Because
like,
where
we're
were
good.
you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because
that's
where were
your
you? And
problem. Like
yeah.
we've dealt with being on registration lists
Hmm.
before. We don't we already know how this goes. We're sitting
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
this.
yeah. Like we told you, you'll be next.
Hmm.
Hello.
And
And
but that said though, like you said, there have been times where Rogue has joined the Avengers. Like there have been three different series called Uncanny Avengers,
yeah,
where you've got Captain America and various mutants and various
and I
Avengers
keep
teaming up.
forgetting like who else aside from Rogue was on this team.
Well, again,
Like
Scarlet Witch was there the first and
yeah, when she
second
was a
time
mutant.
around. I think there might have been four Uncanny Avengers series actually. But yeah, you had them, you had Sunfire was on there for a while. Wolverine, I think, was on there for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. He was
Um
in and out.
yeah,
He's
he's in and
like
out.
a
He's as an
regular
Avenger.
Avenger. Yeah.
We had Deadpool on one of the later incarnations. And the most recent incarnation had Psylocke and M as well. Um, so yeah, those are some interesting comics for anyone who's curious. But yeah, it was interesting to see Captain America show up and like have a
Yeah.
scene and like to see Rogue, like him and they were both investigating, you know, what's going on. They're like, okay, let's start with Trask and finding out where he is because he's usually behind all the Sentinels, and they find this abandoned facility, and Rogue goes along with him. They uncover some badges that say OZT.
Yeah.
So from the comics, we know this stands for Operation Zero Tolerance.
Yeah. Which
Uh,
didn't for some reason register with me right away, despite like I read this a week ago. I reread the is for Extinction, I think, and like in the whole new X-Men thing, and didn't register right away. And then I was like, oh my God. Right, Operation Zero Tolerance.
yeah,
How could I forget?
that's all right. Like it's bit like that's not a storyline that I'm super familiar with. Like I remember when I started reading comic books, I did have a few random issues from this storyline, but like I never read the whole thing. But I'm like kind of vaguely aware of what happened. But we'll talk more about that later. But in this scene, Captain America wants to help, but he kind of says his hands are tied. And Rogue is like, well, if your hands are tied, then you won't be needing this shield.
Yeah,
So she
that
tosses
was
it really far into the
X-Men
mountains.
level attitude. I love that. I also
Yeah,
want to like see an episode when he goes and looks for his shield. That's gonna take
right.
a
Like
while.
that. I wonder if he went on foot or if he was able to like get in a
A
plane or something.
bike. Like, where do you see it? Anyone?
Like he probably called
That,
Iron Man. Hey, can you help me find this? Well, you're
that's
metal.
gonna be a
You can help
chore. So yeah, I think he
But
had it coming too, because like as much as I like Cap in general, he when it comes to mutants, he's not pulling his weight.
yeah, like yeah, it's I mean, um I feel like it's kind of a contrived bit of the comic books because like if the heroes were always able to intervene and stop bad things from happening, then there wouldn't be any stories. But um, but it is kind of like unfortunate that they're always just either too late or not helping enough.
Yeah,
So,
but like if there is a hero in the city and you know that they're stopping the bad guys all the time, would you really try to rob a bank? Like if you know there's a Daredevil or a Spider-Man or like God forbid Thor shows up,
mhm.
I probably would be like, nah, not here, not
Right, yeah.
today.
Yeah, let's go to small town Kansas
Yeah,
and
yeah,
let's commit crimes over there because somewhere where there are no superheroes. But
heck yeah.
yeah, I think that at the very least we got one Avenger who's halfway investigating this. Like we didn't see any of the other Avengers, you know. Who knows where they are at. So let's talk about Cyclops and Jean.
Oh yeah.
Cyclops is having a conversation with the president, like a phone.
Affair.
Hmm. And President Kelly, we see him again, and President Kelly's basically telling him there's not a lot we can do right now. You just be patient. And Cyclops is like, we've seen how patience is what that where that gets us. And the answer is nowhere. So he pretty much is just hangs up and tells Jean like we're on our own.
And
And
what are the
Jean,
chances that they are trying to like radicalize him a little bit? Because it feels that
oh,
way, and I
absolutely,
love it.
yeah, like Cyclops more and more. Like I think a lot of the characters actually are getting very radicalized by
Yeah.
this event. Of course, like it's a massive tragedy, a massive genocide, and we don't know yet the exact number of how many people died, and
It was
we're still
16
trying to
million
figure
in the
out who's
comics.
responsible. Yeah, like 16 million in the comics, so that's huge. Like that number, I believe, was chosen to mirror the Holocaust. So, like, it's giant, and it's something that, like, we're seeing, even characters like Roberto, who he wasn't really like interested in, like being
Joining the
involved with
team,
mutant
and yeah.
affairs. But then now he's actually showing up to Genosha with the X-Men to help them uh respond to the situation.
I think that they're kind
Yeah.
of throwing in Genosha and the M Day together. Because I get this
In
feeling
what
that
way?
they're just trying to pull from both storylines.
Is there something that reminds you of M Day in particular?
I mean, I think that in terms of outcome, they're gonna come to the same thing with the hope and stuff like that.
Oh, you think we might get Hope? That's
I
interesting.
think
I hadn't
we
thought
like
about that.
I kind of thought that from the very start because they I feel like they're pulling some maybe not stories but elements of stories from the comics that were like a new X-Men and the M Day thing, but I'm not sure. Just a
Yeah,
theory.
they're definitely homaging some of those comics, like the whole thing with
Yeah.
Baby Nathan and Bishop taking him into the future. Like that very much reminded me of the Hope storyline, but like in a reversed
Yeah.
way because Bishop was trying to kill Baby Hope. So that was a whole different thing. But I don't really know if we'll see Hope. I think Cable might play that role of bringing Hope, like
I
the
think that
concept of
maybe
Hope.
like the next, but how are they gonna like if they not gonna do M Day? That's gonna be like mm, maybe weird. But if they're gonna do M Day, then how are they gonna explain it? First is genocide, and then there is another genocide. That's
Oh
too
yeah,
much.
I don't think they're gonna do M Day with the Scarlet Witch and everything. Like I feel like
Yeah,
if they do it, they might do it in the future season
yeah.
after
No,
we
I know
finally recover from this
definitely
a
not
bit.
this season because
Yeah.
it's too much
That's way
loss.
too much to cram in. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
that's the life of mutants, so it's
it
kind of
is though.
how it happened.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
the comics though, we have a genocide like every 10 years though. There's some
Yeah,
space
yeah.
in between,
There is one going right
unfortunately.
now.
Right. Like this is why it's so exhausting. Like it's so stressful as a fan of the X-Men. It's like here we go again. And we've talked a bit on previous episodes about, just how it reflects real life and real world issues. And it's just very stressful and emotional. But at least it's shedding light on what happens in the real world, and hopefully it's um, encouraging people to be aware and be sympathetic to people's struggles. Um, we'll see. I don't know. There's always kind of back and forth, like there's some people who are not really impacted by what happens in the X-Men stories, and then there's some people who are very much so impacted.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about when the X-Men arrived to Genosha. Um, Immediately, Beast gives the quote from Mr. Rogers. He talks about always look for the helpers because there are always helpers in the midst of
Yeah, since I
tragedy.
grew up and I never knew about that show, I first I thought like, oh, is he talking about Steve Rogers? That
That's
quote
funny.
fell flat for me.
Oh, no, see, yeah, I think in America, a lot of us grew up with Mr. Rogers as like a children's program on public TV,
Yeah, I know
and
what it is.
and we love Mr. Rogers. Like he is one of the fewest like decent people who like no one has a bad word about. Like God forbid we ever like I don't want to hear anything about Mr. Rogers because he was just such a nice man. He was about, the education of children and about equality for everybody, and like he created a safe space for children to examine their emotions and to uh just like yeah, if you don't know Mr. Rogers, look him up because he has a very interesting role in history, even bigger than just children's entertainment, because like he lobbied in front of Congress and everything. Like he had a lot to do with just trying to advocate for children and people in general. And so I really felt I liked hearing the Beast quote. And it is funny that it has the same name as Steve Rogers because they both like when Steve Rogers gets old, like sometimes in the comics he's like really old and he puts on his sweaters and he looks like Mr. Rogers. But that's another story. Um yeah, Beast always has the quotes.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I'm glad the X-Men finally got around to, providing some aid in
Yeah, by the
recovery
way,
in
they
Kenosha.
do that a lot, and we barely
Yeah,
even
like
see that.
and we see Amelia Vogt. Do you remember her?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, she was in the old series. She's one of Professor X's former lovers. I
Yeah,
think she has
yeah,
like
yeah.
smoke powers, and she's crying. She's like she's been trying to help with the survivors, but she says when you actually see the survivors, that's the last thing
Yeah,
she would want to be, is what she says.
yeah, which is like oof, harsh.
Very heavy. And Beast
Yeah.
consoles her, and then Trish Tilby appears on the scene, and she apologizes to Beast about what happened, and he's happy to see her at first. And she even actually tells her cameraman to put down the camera and step aside while she talks to Beast. And she holds his hand, and they go walking. And I thought that was kind of nice. Later on, they have a conversation where, you know, unfortunately, they're not really seeing eye to eye about the situation, and Beast gets very upset and walks away from her.
Yeah,
But
which is
it's
actually
reasonable.
yeah, and it's actually again what happened in the comics because during the same storyline approximately, they broke up
Hmm.
and yeah, for the same reason, more or less.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see Beast and Trish like this will they won't they, because like so far on this show we see how quickly things move. We don't know if they're actually gonna have a relationship or if they're just gonna like
Gonna
not
break up before
be on
they
the same page.
even
Yeah, break up before they start.
which
But
why not?
so meanwhile, um Roberto and Jubilee are talking, and Jubilee is trying to convince Roberto to come out to his parents.
Yeah, yeah,
She talks about how her foster parents finally contacted her. She hadn't heard from them in months, but they just want to
yeah, and
know,
then they
if there's
right.
going to be a war. And
That's kind of a selfish thing too. To like,
yeah, like it's
they just
bec-
you think you're gonna attack?
and that's the thing about a lot of the human perspectives here. Like it's all very selfish because they're all speaking from perspective of like, oh, is this going to cause a war? But like
Yeah, is
from the
this
mutant
gonna affect
perspective, the
me?
war has already been declared.
Right?
Like 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 what can
Like,
you
do
do?
I have to do anything? Like, how is it gonna affect me? It's always
Hmm.
the same questions, yeah. Like, oh, it's horrible, but like, do I have to change something?
Yeah, and we see that in real life all the time. And
Yeah, true.
interestingly, we get a little strong guy cameo. He survived. Are you a
Of
strong
all
guy
the
fan?
people.
Yeah.
No. I keep
Yeah.
I keep forgetting about him, and then he keeps showing up, and I'm like, oh, that's strong guy. Huh.
Yeah, he's one of the like not as popular X characters, but he's
Yeah.
I think in this era he's on X Factor with
Oh,
like
let me
Forge's team,
remember.
Forge
Oh,
and
I think
Alex and Polaris.
either he's on X Factor or he's in the Department X or whatever they were called.
I think they called this team X Factor when they had like Forge's team, like when they showed that picture of them
Mm-hmm.
in Forge's house. But regardless, he's here, he's helping.
Yeah,
Um
showed up. Good for him.
and um it's funny that Roberto is like he thinks that he can still lie to his parents. He says, I told them I'm on a ski trip in the Alps. Like, well, if there's cameras around, you might get caught.
Yeah, not just
But
that, but like in general, it's a very big situation, and he's still pulling back. I don't know. But
yeah,
well, he
the
did
pro
later. Did.
I'm happy that he decided to help out and to show up and then he does decide to tell his parents. And Jubilee, he asks Jubilee to go with him, and she of course agrees.
Hmm.
Um,
But I think
we
that's
can
later, because like right now, we have to talk about them.
all right, we can talk about Emma. Like, so I was definitely waiting for this scene, and I know you were too, right? Like, we finally get to see the classic scene from the comic books where they pull Emma from the rubble, and she's revealed her secondary mutation. She's able
Yeah.
to transform into Diamond, and that protected her from the
Yeah,
Sentinel.
which is cool, but they which a little bit bugged me, is that they took that and then they didn't bring the other thing is because like Emma, she was found holding one of her students in the
Yeah,
comics, and that's like a huge part of her and a huge
yeah,
part of her arc in general. So I get the feeling like we might not get to see the teacher Emma and the good Emma. Because like that is something that she had to go through several times too.
yeah. Like,
Something that
you're
affected
right.
her character. Because like first she lost the Hiddens, then I think she lost the students on Genosha, and then she lost like two of the Cuckoos. And every time she showed up with holding them in her hands. That's
And she
like,
lost a whole bunch of the new Academy X kids. Like, she's always
yeah, that
losing
too.
her students. It's very sad. And like, you're right.
And
It's a huge part
traumatic.
of her characterization and her character growth. So
Yeah, it's
it was a
kind
no.
of like not just that she's a bad teacher and she keeps losing her students, but like it's the fact is that she cares about her students a lot. And
Yeah,
that's one of the things that eventually makes her like turns her from a villain or Hellfire Club member to a hero.
absolutely. That's one of her biggest redeeming qualities that to me that she cares about her students and about teaching. And yeah, it was noticeable how they changed the scene, how they weren't able to hit, too much about who she was as a character. But she did get one little nice line. She said, "I've always done well under pressure." Um,
That is very her, but not not
mhm.
not in this scenario. Because like I
Yeah,
remember, and like I said, I recently read the new X-Men, and that was there, and but I remembered that before the scene where she was pulled out, and she was like, first of all, she asked everyone around to help her student that she was holding, and the student was already dead, uh, and like she was I don't think that at that point she was like using her diamond form to not experience emotions. I don't think that that happened yet. That was added
yeah.
later.
Mostly it was just shock, and she transformed, and that protected her. Like I don't even think she knew
Yeah,
she could
yeah.
do that. It just
No.
happened, and that was the first we saw it. And like I said, she was holding one of her students. It was Negasonic Teenage
Yeah, yeah,
Warhead,
yeah, yeah.
who fans might remember from the Deadpool movies. They kind
Yeah,
of
very
changed her
different
character a
version of
bit.
her.
Yeah,
Hmm.
different version. But yeah. It, so I think it was just mostly a nod to the comics I don't think they really had
Yeah,
enough
but I don't
space in
think
the
that they're
story.
gonna yeah, gonna bring Emma into the story. Although, as we know, she's a very, very important part of the Grey Summers, whatever else group of people, and
I
they
think
soapy drama.
I think they could bring her in, but I feel like right now, considering the roster of team members, I don't know if it'll follow the same storylines that we're familiar with because we have
Mm.
Scott and Jean. Like we already have a telepath on the team. Scott's affair has already kind of happened with Madeline. Even though Madeline is now absent or possibly dead, I don't think he's gonna cheat on Jean right away with
Again?
Emma. Like in this episode, they're trying to like get back on the good foot. They're
Okay,
trying to
but
like
you
repair.
underestimate Scott Summers. There is no low this man is not gonna hit.
No, I know he's like always making mistakes, but like I feel like he has enough decency to at least wait two
You think so?
episodes, 3 episodes next season. Next season, he can have an
Just
affair
had
with
a
Emma.
baby with another woman. And we still don't know, by the way, whether he cheated on his wife with Jean or whether Jean was his wife. He's in a
Yeah,
tough spot.
yeah. And speaking of them, like it was they had Jean had an interesting line where she was talking to Scott about how they've been through this before. Like Jean was talking about, is this any different than when I died in the shuttle crash or when I sacrificed myself to the sun or the Dark Phoenix? And he can't really even like um argue with that, but he says, "Yet you always came back." And then she says, "One of us did." Again, they're kind of like keeping it vague whether it was her or whether it was Madeline.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
know. It
still
doesn't
a
really
very tough
matter.
spot. Yeah, well, we do see that they have issues and they
Yeah,
don't have time to work on them.
yeah. And Jean is very much feeling the weight of loss because her telepathy helps her to kind of catch you know memories of what happened and feelings, and it's just very sad. Um, anything else you want to say about these scenes where they're on Genosha? Any other
Um,
cameos you want to call out?
I think that like I think that's it. I think we covered everything. I
I will
definitely
say,
would
we
have
did see
loved.
the little parrot girl. I think she's an original character to this
Isn't
show.
that like no, it's not Nature Girl. Yeah, it's
No, not
somebody
Nature.
else.
Like Nature Girl was also there, but yeah, it's like a girl who turns into a parrot. So she survived. So maybe we'll get to know her name in the future.
Yeah,
I don't
we
know.
didn't care about her, but she survived. Obviously, and Gambit is dead. Thanks, Parrot Girl.
Yeah. Um,
Glad to have you back.
um, I I do want to shout, like we finally kind of figure out why there were rats in Jean's vision. I think it's just like the rats that are, under the rubble. We see some of them kind of digging around. It's kind of gross, but yeah, I guess that explains that.
I didn't actually think too much about rats and Jin's wish.
I mean, I
But
was trying to figure out, like, is this supposed to be like a new villain that they're gonna face? The Rat Man or something?
Mole Man is back.
Mole Man? That could be anything, but I think it's just, just rats that are in the rubble of Genosha as they try to dig people out. Um, so meanwhile, Rogue finally tracks down Gyrick, and he's uh in this really fancy mansion, probably like
In
in a different
Mexico, yeah.
country, might be Mexico. I kind of wish the show had more like location names, like how sometimes in the Marvel movies they'll say like, we're in Sokovia
Yeah,
or
yeah,
we're
yeah.
in Africa or somewhere like
Well, I
um
think they like drop it in, that Storm was in Texas, that
mhm,
everything else is like it's either New York or and they said that they were in Madripoor.
And yeah,
Uh,
Genosha, like they
yeah,
do kind of tell
Genosha.
us when we need to know, but I wish it was a
Yeah.
little more obvious.
I
Um,
think that was Mexico because like later on they had Dia de los Muertos.
yeah, I was gonna
Mm,
say, yeah, later on we see people are celebrating Dia de los Muertos, so it kind of puts it at a certain time of year. I guess that's November 1st.
that's yeah, fall.
And that makes sense. Like the season of fall, fall of the mutants, like this, they're always fallen, fall of X, like it's a very common theme for the X-Men. Um, and plus, loss, losing your loved ones, your ancestors, all of that. Like it's fitting.
Like your loved ones, like Gambit, your ancestors, like Magneto.
Hmm. So Rogue finally finds Gyrick, and he is not giving Rogue any answers. He basically says a callback to what he said in episode one. He says, "You mutants aren't the only ones making friends in high places." And he's talking about Operation Zero Tolerance. Um, he's got all these bugs and butterflies that he's kind of, you know, looking at. He's got a little collection. But Rogue smashes all that stuff. She's like, "You're gonna give me some answers," and he says no. But Rogue is like, "Well, then I'll take them." And then she kind of like grabs him and uses her powers on him. Um, I was a little worried in this scene because like usually Rogue's powers have this kind of consent aspect to it, where like if the person is really like fighting back, it's harder for her to do it. Like if they consent, it's not as painful sometimes. But when they fight back, then we saw what happened with Miss Marvel. Like she's like
Yeah.
haunted by their persona forever, it seems like. So, what do you think about this scene?
Wow. First of all, absolutely love it because I see like the a little bit of villainous side of Rogue, which we haven't seen in a long time, obviously, and I don't think that was even on the show because she
Yeah,
started
like we're
out as a hero. Yeah.
no, she does talk about her past with like
Yeah, in flashbacks,
Mystique.
yeah, but we've
Hmm.
never seen that. But well, we apparently know that she can be pushed back into this. Mm,
Yeah, and it's
and
very interesting because, like you said, like people are being radicalized. Like not only Scott
yeah,
but Rogue and like Rogue was so close to Magneto, so like of course she's gonna try like carry on his legacy and fight for Gambit and everybody. So it's very
and
interesting
I
to see
mean,
Rogue.
when that happened in the comics, she was on Scott's team, by the way.
Yeah, which one?
I think so. In the Marvel Now, when they did split into teams. One was Magneto, Scott, Emma, Magic, and I don't remember. I think Rogue was on his team too, but I could be
I
wrong.
think at that time Rogue was on the Uncanny Avengers in Marvel now.
Oh, maybe, yeah. That's what she was.
But
Uh,
they've always been close teammates. They've always kind of trusted each other.
I mean,
So
it would be
it'll
fair
be
to put her
interesting
on
to
that
see.
team.
Yeah, like I kind of want to see if Rogue becomes more of the leader. In this episode,
Yeah,
she's pretty much the leader. Like she makes some very important decisions.
yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but let's come back to her. Morph calls all the X-Men back to the Blackbird, and he says there's a message from Trask, and he reveals to them that Mr. Sinister was the one who used his DNA to orchestrate the attack.
Yeah,
And he claims that he didn't know it was going to send sentinels to Genosha. He
and
didn't, and he
it's
used the word mutant massacre, just like in the comics, to like call that out.
yeah. But like, as much as I like to believe in some good in him, I mean, he's not a good guy, and doesn't seem like
Yeah,
it would shake him that much.
at the very least, he's showing remorse. Like even since last episode, like at the end of that episode, he feels guilty, and as he should. Like
Yeah,
in this episode too, like they refer to
I'm
him
just
as like
surprised that he feels
low
guilty.
budget Oppenheimer or something.
Yeah,
and he even
exactly.
and he even says that line, "I am become death."
Hmm.
And so the X-Men don't really trust him. And Morph in particular, he's like, he's probably lying. But he tells them to come to Madripoor and he tells them where to go. And so they follow the lead. And while they're doing that, we have a scene with Sunspot and Jubilee. He finally goes to tell his mother. And his mother, surprise, surprise, is actually very accepting of him. She's like, um, I knew, but we wanted to wait until you decided to tell us because this was your secret to tell.
Yeah, which starts out nice, but then she tells him that like we need to manage that and we need to be quiet about this, we need to be discreet and all that.
Hmm.
Which
Yeah,
is
so it was interesting. I mean, it's definitely a very realistic scene for people who are in the LGBTQ community. It's like coming out the closet to your parents and then they kind of accept you, but they still want you to be in the
but at the same
closet
time, yeah,
or
it's like
Mhm.
let's not tell like uncle whatever.
Hmm. And it also recalls that scene from X2 when Bobby
Hmm.
Drake came out to his parents and they're like, "Well, have you tried not being a mutant?"
Yeah, like
Like that's always part
uh,
of the mutant metaphor.
yeah.
Um so were you surprised that she already knew or did you think
I
that's
kind of like I
to be
don't remember
expected?
what it was like in the comics. I don't like for any of the characters, honestly.
Oh, it was very
But
different in the comics. I think his mother
yeah,
was
yeah,
dead in the
yeah,
comics. Or no, she was like kidnapped and then she died later.
yeah.
Like
Okay. But like he had, yeah, his whole family or something like that killed.
I thought
Mm,
it was really suspicious that like we still don't see his father. Like they mention his
yeah,
father
yeah, 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 yeah. That first of all,
and I brought up
uh,
the potential rumor last episode that maybe his father, because in the comic books his Roberto's father is part of the Hellfire Club. So maybe he might be involved with uh sometimes they're involved with the creation of the Sentinels.
yeah,
Sometimes they're and he is a
probably
human
that
too,
more
so
likely than the Hellfire Club because Hellfire Club is very different from what we've seen yet
yeah, like this
so
version of
far.
the Hellfire Club, they were involved with Genosha. They weren't particularly against the mutants at
Although
this point in time.
although they did play a part like when it was the Phoenix Saga, and they
Well,
were
at the
like an
very
evil
least,
club, but
yeah, like at the very least, we know that Roberto's father is really, really rich. Um, and
and
he
doesn't
doesn't
know he's a
want,
mutant.
well, he does. His mom says, Your father and I knew, we just waited for you to tell us. But also he doesn't want his son to be known publicly as a mutant.
Hmm.
So he might have a little bit of anti-mutant sentiment, but it's hard to say how much. Like I don't I don't really want Roberto's dad to be involved with this genocidal attack, but at the same time, I do think it would be some interesting drama if we find out Roberto's father is kind of
Yeah, I
evil.
mean, he maybe like unknowingly he had something to do with it because if he knows that his son is a mutant, he probably wouldn't want to kill his son.
I mean, it might be a thing where he'll protect his son, but he doesn't care about the rest of the mutants.
Oh, that
Who
could be
knows?
that, yeah. But then he
Another
had no
thing,
idea where his son was at the time. Like he's
true,
not keeping track of his kid.
like yeah, Roberto has never been at home this entire season. He's been chilling at
Yeah.
the X Mansion, traveling to
And
Genosha.
I think he's like what, 18?
Presumably, he's
I
seems
mean,
very close to
yeah.
Jubilee's age. Yeah,
Yeah, but he just doesn't go to school or anything. He just hangs
none
out.
of
And
them
it's
do.
fault, so yeah. No, he actually technically he does go to school. Sort of a
He
school.
goes to the X Mansion.
Yeah, it's a terrible school. I would not recommend it.
Yeah, they never study anything over there.
They never learn
Um,
anything and they get blown up every other week.
whew, yeah. I gotta say this scene also reminded me of like X-Men: The Last Stand because like and just the general arcs with Archangel or Warren Worthington Jr. Like
Mm.
his Warren Worthington the third, like his parents are usually rich and he's usually in the closet and he's usually like struggling with that. So
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Like his
it's very
parents are usually rich.
yeah. Like I've never
Mm.
seen them not be rich, honestly.
I think like wait a second. No, no, never. He's like one of the lucky characters who don't go broke. I mean,
Yeah,
Tony
like
Stark's been
War.
broke, and
Yeah, like if the X-Men ever need money, they just go ask Warren. Say, hey, you got some money
or
for us?
Roberto, by the way.
Roberto. Yeah, if Charles has lost all his money, they'll go to those two.
Yeah, they got some wallets.
hmm But yeah, hopefully they'll follow up on this storyline in the future. With Roberto. So then we catch back up with the X-Men. They find Rogue, like you said, in Mexico. Um, Nightcrawler consoles her. Um, and and then the rest of the X-Men are there too. And I thought that was nice that they were there for her and they caught up with her and you know, they understand what she's going through.
Yeah. And I'm probably glad that Jubilee wasn't there because she'd be judging, and that's not something anyone needs.
Oh, you think so? She was judging her at the funeral. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
She's like, "Where's
Should
Rogue?
be,
She should be here."
yeah, should be given her attitude, and that just wouldn't end well. Because I mean,
But
Jubilee is technically like the baby of the group, and like Rogue is not above punching her.
I mean, I do think I hope that Jubilee I think Jubilee has is growing up this season. Like she had her birthday, she had everything that happened in Motendo. She's seen this genocide. Like I think she's really kind of realizing like I'm not a kid anymore, and this is not a safe place for mutants. Like the world is not safe. So hopefully she's starting to be more mature. Um, and then we get the scene where okay, then we see the big bad of the season. And for his first couple scenes, they don't even really like show his face. And I don't think they
Yeah.
ever mention him by name. But if you have the captions on,
Yep.
my captions, they
Yeah.
tell you who it is. Like we know who it is. It's Bastion. So what did you think about that? Like I thought it was weird how they didn't really
You expected
reveal
Cassandra
him.
Nova?
Well, yeah, they don't include Cassandra Nova, and they just don't even fully reveal Bastion by name. Like you do see his face by the end, but it was kind of weird because like most old cartoons from the 80s 90s they would have like a shadowy
Yeah.
evil bad guy who
Yeah,
they
but
wouldn't
we're not
reveal
in the
until later
80s or
on.
90s. So I think
hmm
that they're like relying on the fact that some people know who that is, and some people will
hmm
be just surprised, and some people it would be just another bad guy. Mm,
yeah, I wonder. I mean, I'm sure he'll get more in these next three episodes, but this was an interesting introduction to him. Like we've seen little cameos of him in previous episodes, but here he's very busy and he's
yeah,
actually
see,
voiced
it's
by
really hard to get anything past the fans because they noticed all the little Easter eggs, and obviously already people started talking about him showing up.
Mhm.
So at this point, it's not surprising, and people who didn't expect it, they would watch something and they would start expecting it.
and um and he's voiced by Theo James. Are you familiar with that actor?
Isn't that British guy from some movies?
Yeah, he's done some movies. I think he's famous for like White uh White Lotus and some other movies. I've never really watched any of his stuff to be honest, but he's pretty
Like
popular
in
though.
Divergent, right?
I think maybe the Divergent series, yeah. Um
Yeah.
so that's I think he did an interesting job playing the villain here. Um Yeah, I mean, it was weird that they kept playing that song, Purple People Eater. You know that song? Have you heard that before?
I don't remember. I think I have. It didn't really affect me. It just like now it did. It's like, first of all, I felt like, what does it have to do with the Purple Man? Because,
Yeah,
like, if you're gonna play this song for someone, that would probably be the Purple Man or his children.
or like an alien or something. Like I kind of get like the Sentinels are kind of purple and they're not eating people, but they are killing
Nimrod
people.
is kind of purple.
Yeah, Nimrod and Bastion, they're kind of purplish, so
Yeah.
maybe that's what it's about. I mean, it's just kind of a weird choice. It's like an old 50s song. This very much reminded me of like I used to watch Riverdale, like they were always pulling out 50s pop songs. And
Watched
like
like three
it's
seasons of that and dropped it because it became too weird.
it was a crazy show, but I have a high tolerance for crazy.
Yeah.
Um uh so yeah, so that happened and in the scene he basically suffocates Gyrick to death.
Yeah.
So that was crazy.
That was a little weird.
Um,
Wait, have we talked already about the what happened in Madripoor?
so that's I think the next scene.
Oh,
Okay, so we can go to that now. So the X-Men finally
yeah.
arrive in Madripoor and they find this facility where everybody's knocked out with sleeping gas and they go down the secret elevator and they find all these robots in glass like they're behind glass and they're like what is going on here? And then they find Trask, Bolivar Trask, and he basically blames everything on Mr. Sinister. And
It does.
so and he looks like he's about to jump off the building, like he's about to commit suicide. And
Rogue
so
catches him, I
then
think. Yeah.
Rogue goes up to him. She's like, "Wait a minute, you're not about to like kill yourself without giving us more information. Like, don't you want redemption?" And he really doesn't. He claims he doesn't know anything else. So then Rogue makes the decision to drop
Yeah.
him off of the
Ah,
building.
that was one of my favorite moments because I love it when uh writers really allow the characters to like cross some kind of a bridge.
That was a wild moment. Like, especially because my first thought was like, okay, so no one's gonna use their powers to save him. Like,
Yeah,
Jean
yeah.
use telepathy,
You got
Nightcrawler's not
like
gonna
Nightcrawler,
teleport.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
none of them.
No, and like crickets.
And like, and even and Nightcrawler does say like, Rogue, what have you done? But
But like you didn't try to help, bro. You're
yeah,
a teleporter. If anyone could do
right.
it, it wasn't you.
So Wolverine basically says like that. This is what we all wanted to do. Like, let's just admit it. Like. So that was very interesting because like usually we don't see the X-Men cross this
Anyone.
line in the cartoons like we like
But,
maybe in
but,
the
but,
comics.
yeah, but at the same time, that one of the things that they like keep me thinking that they pull from different storylines. Because like right now, it's pretty okay for mutants to kill.
Yeah, like in the
Yeah,
comic
they
books
go full
currently.
on like Shadowcat is going around killing everyone and everyone else. They just don't shy away from it because they had the no human killing rule on Krakoa.
hmm
But
And like we talked about before, it's basically war. Like
yeah,
the humans have declared war on the X-Men and the mutants, so the X-Men are fighting back. They're like, we don't care about killing you because you don't care about killing us. Like
yeah,
it's
fair game.
unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I don't know. I mean, there is a lot of debate online about whether or not the X-Men should kill. Um, what's your opinion?
I mean, they tried not killing anyone, and they still got killed.
Yeah.
So they literally had this rule, and it was punishable, and they still got killed. They still got attacked, and nobody stood up, and nobody was in this like stood up to support them. So I guess that yeah, of course I don't think that they should be learning in the in school how to kill humans. Uh, but some teams, yeah, they should have this license.
Yeah, I mean like
Like
X
X
Force
Force,
is
there
usually
is
one of
yeah,
the it's one of the
yeah,
big
but like in
Black Ops
general,
teams.
it's better to avoid this, of course.
Right. Like my personal feeling on it, like I I I don't think that they should kill unless like it's like a last resort, but like but acknowledging that what happened, like the genocide, acknowledging that this is war. Like I understand why they feel like they have to. Um, I I wish there were better solutions. I don't know what the better solutions are.
But
I mean,
this
it's
argument can be made for every character, actually, for every hero. Like
hmm
whether you like kill Joker or whatever, or Kingpin, or face them again and again and again and again until they kill you.
hmm yeah, for
Well,
the
this is
X-Men
just
it's
on a
definitely
larger scale, and of course, like when we talk about the comics, we don't consider the fact that like all of these people are also like they have lives, they have families, they have something going on, and not all of them are evil. Some of them are victims of circumstance. We don't consider that as much as we would like if it was a decision we had to make for ourselves.
yeah. Like last episode we talked a little bit about how since the X-Men have all these telepaths, an alternative to killing their enemies could be just, mind wiping
Brainwashing.
them, controlling their minds or whatever, like
Well, that's
making them stop
unethical.
doing what they're doing. It could be, is it as unethical as killing? Like, I don't know, like, or is it, which is worse?
I don't know. Honestly, like, which is worse, to live with your personality entirely erased or to be dead?
Well, I'm not saying Professor X or Jean has to like completely erase their personality, but like just
But like a big
make them
part
be
of their
less evil.
personality is they hate from mutants.
That's the problem in the nutshell. Like people make it their primary personality trait to be a bigot, to be
Yeah.
hateful. Like like you could like I don't believe that people are born hating other people. I feel like it's something that you
Yeah,
learn.
that's the
Like
environment, yeah.
yeah, like you're taught to hate other people for whatever reason, or
Hmm.
even if you feel it naturally, you let that grow into a desire to kill other people.
Well,
Like that.
like I think I mentioned that I used to live in Russia, so I kind of saw firsthand how propaganda can turn like a normal relationship between different groups and different nations into hateful one. Like I
hmm
literally saw that happen.
hmm
So yeah, I know how that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we deal with similar things here in America,
Yeah,
propaganda,
absolutely.
hatred, all over the world, unfortunately. Like uh, um, yeah, there are no simple solutions. So I do think it's great that this cartoon show, is tackling like the heavy issues and showing all sides of it, showing how people will react on all sides of it.
So
And
it's
we really see
brainwashing then.
like it's brainwashing the children.
No,
But
no, no. I mean that brainwashing then is more humane than killing. Okay. I guess we'll
I
give it a
mean,
try.
let's just try let's use all of our talents, our mutant abilities to solve this problem.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I do think that it was just like props to Lenore Zan, like her acting this episode. You really felt all the emotions she was going through. Um, and they're all just great actors. Like even Beast had a
Yeah.
moment. Scott and Jean, everybody. Wolverine is still taking a back seat. Like he's just kind of there.
I think that's like the greatest idea that's ever been executed because we've seen Wolverine be everywhere. We've seen him like stuffed into everything.
I
We've
mean,
seen
just
enough
this
of
week we
him.
got a new trailer for Deadpool
Exactly.
Wolverine. So
Yeah.
like I'm sure that once that movie comes out in a few months, he's all people will be talking about. Like maybe we'll have some other mutant cameos, but Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, he'll have his
Yeah, of
moment.
course. So yeah, that's why I think it's a great idea that they didn't focus on him. They did let other characters shine, and that's perfect because X-Men is an
Yeah,
ensemble cast. And by the way,
absolutely.
speaking of that movie again, there is kind of like I think that there is part of the reason that we didn't see Cassandra Nova in this storyline is because she's the villain in the Deadpool and Wolverine. So.
Yeah, I've seen some speculation about that. We did see her in the trailer. Noticeably, she's younger than like usually Cassandra Nova is. Usually Cassandra Nova is like this really old, wrinkly version of
Mhm.
Professor X's evil
Of
twin.
Charles, yeah.
So it is what it is. I don't know why they always need to make everybody young. Like they made Agatha Harkness young.
Yeah.
They make Cassandra Nova young. Like, why can't we have old baddies?
Well,
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know. But I think they have like they're trying to give as much time as possible to the actors, unless they're gonna kill them off. I don't know.
Yeah,
Multiverse.
we'll see.
I never understand what's going on there.
Yeah, it could go any direction. I have no idea. But but back to this episode. So I want to talk to you about this because when Rogue actively drops Trask off of the building, immediately he comes back as a Prime Sentinel, and it's really
Yeah.
creepy. He's like a zombie robot. It's wild. So are you familiar with the storyline? It was right before Axis, like Avengers, X-Men Axis. It was like it was during like the Uncanny Avengers series. Right at the end of that, Magneto was in a position to kill the Red Skull. And Rogue was there, Scarlet Witch was there. I think they were telling him not to do it. He did it anyway. And then after he killed the Red Skull, then the giant onslaught version of the Red Skull appeared and just was worse than what was before. So unfortunately, like this is the nature of these stories. Like even if you do kill the bad guy, they're gonna come back twice as bad,
That's true. Sometimes like it's safer to keep them around. Like the devil you know.
right? Like it's hard to
Yeah.
say what is the right thing to do because you never know what's gonna be the consequences of that.
I mean, in their universe, I think it's like assumed that it's always gonna get worse.
Yeah, yeah, that's the way it always goes in the comics and in these superhero stories. But yeah, what do you think of Prime Sentinel Trask?
Oh. You know how I keep saying that I don't like Nimrod?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no,
Is
I
he
actually
better
I
or
think
worse
like
than Nimrod? Like,
no, no, I'm
they're
like
both pretty
I
awful.
yeah, first of all. Second of all, with Sentinels or any variations of them, or any like robots that are designed to kill mutants, I know what stands behind them. Like I know that it's like people's prejudice and people's hate towards them, but I don't see them as an interesting villains in general.
Hmm. Like, I think they're interesting villains in the sense that you know, there is this war, and this is always the case with X-Men. It's not only a war between mutants and humans, but also between mutants and robots. And and the robots now, especially with Operation Zero Tolerance, they are basically teaming up with the humans. We also see this in the Krakoa era in the comics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but
And
then
then we
the
know that it's
robots,
inevitably always going to turn on humans and start killing humans too, and humans don't know it yet. And
exactly.
that's like, but that's always the same story. That's why, like,
Hmm.
every time there is a Nimrod, there is Sentinels, anything else that has to do with the evil AI, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, we've been there. But I
Yeah,
do
you guys should have
prefer,
seen this coming. Like,
yeah,
haven't you
like,
watched
this
Terminator or
happens
anything?
every week.
Yeah, but
And like,
I will say, I thought the fight scene was kind of cool.
yeah,
Um,
that is always
Morph
cool.
turned into Quicksilver, and he had Quicksilver's powers. Like, can we talk
Mm-hmm.
about this?
Well, before that, he already turned into Ileana and he turned into Archangel, and he had both their powers, but those were
But
like
like, what?
sword and wings. But he was like
But
picking
that's
up
like, okay,
speed, which is cool.
I'll accept that he can physically transform. Like, he can create a sword because that's like a physical object. But it's really hard for me to accept that he has other people's powers too. Like that amount of speed that Quicksilver has, it's not just
This
because of
is
his legs.
ridiculously OP. Like he's
Yeah,
pretty much the unbeatable mutant. Because like, what if he imitates Storm? He would be like a mega level element
it's kind of
controlling
like
murder
it's kind of like
machine.
how in X-Men Evolution or the times when like Rogue has Mystique's powers and everybody else's powers, and she can just use
Yeah,
everyone's powers and shapeshift at the same time. Like that's crazy.
yeah.
Like I
But
said,
also
OP.
it's
Like
cool because I think that like they included that specifically so we could see the Quicksilver. probably.
Yeah, just to get a cameo.
Uh,
Like
yeah,
Morph this whole series has just been a cameo machine just to give us lots of
yeah,
cameos.
yeah.
And
Psylocke
that's I
also.
mean, as a fan, can't really complain about it.
Yeah, same.
And we gotta suspend disbelief because all of their powers are ridiculous. So,
Hmm.
you know.
Well, they're scientifically explainable, but not
Are
really.
they?
No. I mean, I'm still wondering how, like, what's going on with Scott's eyes and how his skull doesn't blow up.
Right? All right, so then Cable shows up. He I love how Trask has this line. He says, "Tell me, orphan, how does it feel to be abandoned by the future?" And then
Yeah,
Cable appears. He's like, "Did somebody say abandoned orphan from the future?" That's me.
that's my cue. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was
interestingly, like Scott finally recognized that that's his son, and Jean also realizes that as well.
yeah, and Cable is like, you're the fake one. Whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have time for this, guys. It's not time for a reunion.
Yeah.
Let's just we gotta take down the bad guys. It's not just Sinister. There's someone worse who we know as Bastion. And then we have one more scene, or maybe two more scenes. We see one where Bastion meets with Mr. Sinister. This is weird. What do you think of this scene?
Well, it's never weird when Sinister is there.
It's always weird when Sinister is there to me. Like, what is he? I never know what he's really up to, but
I mean, usually he's up to like cloning someone and causing mayhem and probably like wearing a cape.
yeah, he's always got that crazy cape. And in this scene, he does mention that Bastion promised him something, but we don't know what it is. Do you have any
Jean
guesses?
Grey.
Probably something to do with Gene or Scott, but
It's
like
definitely
he
maybe
already
like the
had the
child
baby,
and other.
right? Like
Yeah,
he
but
already had the
he had the
baby
baby of
before they,
Jean's clone. He didn't have the
yeah.
baby of Jean.
Oh, he wants
He's
like
still
the
like
pure baby. Did he
maybe
have
I
to
don't know.
commit a genocide to get the baby? That seems a little
Well,
extreme.
didn't he though? I mean, he might want like I don't know Nate Gray or something else, or like what's her face, Summers, Rachel
Maybe he
Summers.
just wa- Maybe he just wanted to collect all the mutants' DNA, and maybe he felt like them being dead would be the easiest way to do it. I
Yeah,
don't know,
probably yeah. Also, or
but
I don't
we'll
know.
find
He
out in future
always
episodes.
usually whatever he wants has something to do with mutant DNA.
Yeah, it's just interesting that Bastion and Sinister are working together. We don't really know why that needs to happen. Last episode we speculated just because Mr. Sinister is so tied to like white supremacist evil, like he's literally a mad scientist who like, you know,
From
is
19th
using
century.
eugenics. Like maybe him and Bastion are like, you know, have the same goals. I don't know. But
Never like it's hard to say because technically I did expect Sinister to be behind all this because it sounds like something
really,
he'd do.
yeah,
Yeah.
like we had briefly talked about Cassandra Nova. I was wondering if they're going to bring her in. Doesn't look like they will. Um, I think unless they surprise us, I think Sinister and Bastion are the two big bads here.
Yeah. Well, which is for Sinister is nothing new. He's
Right.
pretty
Yeah,
big and
nothing new.
bad.
Hmm.
I do kind of wish that we could see like a glimpse of his 19th century whatever he had at some point. I think like an underground mm, city or something. Didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do recall that in the comics. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to get into all that.
I don't think they
Maybe.
will. I just would like to see that.
Mhm. So let's talk about the final scene here. So Bastion goes to a barber shop at night, and his special guest in the barber's chair is Magneto. Dun dun dun. Magneto is
Surprise.
tied up. His mouth is covered up. He's like bound, and he's like, and so Bastion is basically gonna give him the Sweeney Todd special. He's gonna give him a nice shave.
Yeah, at first I thought that he was gonna cut off his face
Yeah,
and
like
wear
what
it
is
or
he
something, and
doing?
I'm
Like,
like, ew, that's like still a cartoon. Come on.
yeah, like it was very creepy. In this scene, Magneto is not harmed, but I think the implication is that he's gonna try and turn Magneto into a Prime Sentinel.
Yeah, probably.
So that's a scary thought.
Also, that would be like very creepy for the X-Men. So that's
Yeah,
probably
like
what I would do if I were him.
yeah. So again, the Purple People Leader song is playing, and that's how the episode ends. Like,
Every time they end the episode, and I expect there to be like a post-credit scene or something to give me some idea of what's gonna happen. Oh wow.
yeah, it's quite a cliffhanger. Um, so, uh, any final thoughts on this episode?
Well, it was amazing. It had like really a lot of emotional moments. It didn't have
Mhm.
I think that it was like a little bit lower in action because there was like maybe one massive fight or something, but it was very revealing into like when we found out a lot of new stuff. And it did have great character moments,
Yeah.
like with Rogue, with Jean and Scott, with Roberta, with everyone
Can
except
I ask?
Wolverine.
Yeah. Can I ask? Did you cry on this episode at all?
No, surprisingly, but like I had 2 weeks to deal with like Gambit,
Yeah. Did you cry
and
on that
last week,
episode?
almost.
Almost, yeah. I think you're like me.
Yeah,
Like I don't tear up very easily, but I did get a little teared up this episode. Just seeing the X-Men deal with their grief. Like I don't really like full on cry at this show, but I did get a little teary, I'll admit.
yeah, that happens definitely. And if I was like when I'm gonna rewatch, I probably will a little.
Hmm.
But also, like the last week's episode, we had an amazing storm moment, and
Hmm.
that kind of brought my spirits a little up.
Yeah, like oh man, cannot wait for Storm to come back. Please, next episode. Fingers crossed.
Oh my god,
Uh,
yes, because I want to see more of her in her original costume. By the way, the last time I forgot to brag about the
oh yes,
scene.
show us. Yes,
Yes,
very cool.
yeah.
Nice
But
Storm. Big
again,
pin
now I
there.
need the new one because she had a mohawk and then she had a change of costume, so I need
Oh
some
yeah,
more new too.
maybe you might be able to get one for all of her looks.
Ew, I wish they made them. Hmm.
Yeah, they
Well,
gotta make some more.
I do have a mug with her original look, but
Oh
she's a
wow,
mutant.
okay. Very
Yeah, my
nice. You
friend
got a
made it for me.
Storm mug. Cool.
Yeah.
Is that a cat?
It's an otter.
An otter. Oh, it says, what does
Yeah.
it say? Otterly Storm?
Yes.
Interesting. I've never seen Storm as an otter.
Well,
It's cute though. Um, all right. Yeah. I really hope they don't make us wait until the last episode to see Storm again. That would kill me.
yeah, because like, where would she be? I mean,
Like
how
we
long did it
already
take to
know.
you
Yeah, we
flew to the stratosphere? How long did it
right.
take to fly from Texas to New York?
Yeah, like she should have been there already. So
Yeah,
hopefully she'll get there next episode.
it's just
Um,
probably like, yeah, I have an hour.
but also Professor X though, do you think that they'll both come back in the same episode?
Actually I forgot about him entirely. That's right. And like we actually had it mentioned that he's alive in this episode today, but like okay, I give him some wiggling room because like there is time difference probably between Shiar and our Milky Way ghetto.
Hmm.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, he needs to like travel and all that. But
yeah,
Storm
they
should
both
be
need to
there.
make a big return sometime soon.
I think
And
it's
they
gonna
need
be
to,
like epic.
yeah, we're gonna have them, we're gonna have Cable, we're gonna have crazy robot zombie Magneto, and hopefully they can fix that because that's
By the way, if Cable
terrible.
is back, where the hell is Bishop?
Yeah, where the hell is Bishop? I want to know. Like they can't just like send him off to the future and he not come back. Like how come Cable came back without him? I don't
Yeah,
know. We need answers. So bring back Bishop, bring back Storm and Professor
bring back
X.
everyone. I think that we
Yeah,
are
bring
gonna
back
see like
Gambit.
everyone. Yes. Well, if
Yeah,
they like joke about Golden Eggs, I think like at some point we can have resurrection.
right. Like I think there's gotta be a way for them to undo it. Or if they don't, it will just all just be devastated. And we might
Yeah,
not
we'll
even watch
just be
season two.
mad.
Um,
Unless they're holding it till season two and then
you know what
don't
they're
bring
gonna
him
have to
back in
do?
season two.
If they don't bring Gambit back, then Morph is just gonna have to transform into Gambit for the rest of time.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. And one thing we like to talk about here on DMV Comic Book Nerds is comic books. So,
Yes.
Polly, are there any comic books that you want to shout out recently? I think you finished up your Daredevil reading
Oh
run. Is
yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've been reading like old X-Men because, well, obviously I
Yeah,
was
lots of great.
experiencing a loss as we all did.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was reading old X-Men. Actually, they were called New X-Men, but those are
Yeah,
all reasonably old
yeah,
comic
yeah.
books.
Old new X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, pretty much I was that, and I was reading New X-Men, like the current run, and Ultimate Black
Hmm.
Panther is so far has been my favorite.
Yeah,
Absolutely
reading that
stunning.
as
And
well.
yeah, and like he met up with Storm finally.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that to come like to fruition or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like
interesting stuff.
incredible art. Like I remember last week, because last week it was a new X-Men issue and a new Ultimate Black Panther issue, and it was like
Hmm.
totally Storm centric. Like, because Storm was epic in the comics, she was epic on screen. That was a good day to be a Storm
It
fan.
was, yeah. Like we
And
gotta
she's
take our
like,
good days where we can get them.
yeah. And the art on Ultimate Black Panther is something else. Like, amazing.
Yes, Stefano Caselli, like he's got some great art, killing it on that book. Um, yeah, I really am enjoying Ultimate Black Panther so far. Um, I do have mixed feelings about the the books, the X-Men books that are ending the Krakoa storyline. Like I can't really have an opinion until they finish because I don't really know where it's
Yeah.
going. I mean, I do feel like it's been kind of rushed and kind of crazy. Like there's been so many different books and plot lines. I want it to just be straightforward.
Yeah, I got a little bit annoyed when they had this run. I think it was like Dead X-Men or something,
Yeah,
and then
Dead
it
X-Men, Rise of the
tied in
Powers of
together with
X.
another run, and
Yeah,
you kind of like understood. So you were supposed to understand it after reading that one. That's too much. Like that's
yeah. It's really confusing. And like a plus
yeah,
a lot of the books are publishing, they're coming out at the same time, but they take place at different points in time.
yeah, and you'd never know. Like, are you running ahead or are you like falling behind? Never understand that. And I mean, we're not stupid people,
No, like I
but
think it's hard for anybody to make sense of. So I just think hopefully by the time this is all over, we can make more sense of it and have a better idea of if it's good or bad. But
yeah, but then
yeah,
again, I think like a lot of Hickman's stories are usually like that you can only understand them after they end. And since he started this Krakoa thing, I think that like they bring it to its resolution in this fashion, and I don't like it.
well, can I say like it Hickman is noticeably absent from the end of this. Like we all know
Yeah,
he kind
but
of
he
wrapped
he
up his
quit
run
like a
earlier.
while ago, yeah.
Yeah, he left a while ago after an Inferno, and he's been doing other stuff. He's got lots of other books right
Which
now.
I was
He's
actually
doing
surprised that he's been doing Ultimate.
yeah, Ultimate Universe, Ultimate Spider-Man. He did the God stuff. He did I think he's got a new Avengers versus Aliens thing coming up. So he's like over it. He's like, I'm out. Like y'all can wrap this up however you want. And it's kind of disappointing because I feel like, I guess a lot of fans would have wanted to see him come back for maybe like one issue or even just like a small short
I'm a bit
story.
like interested if hard to say if that's what he envisioned when he started it, or like how did he see it? What did he want it to come to?
Yeah,
Those are
he
questions
has
I
been
guess we'll never know.
he's given some interviews though. He's been pretty public about the fact that he had a different ending in mind. I think he honestly wanted to end it earlier, and I think fans were loving it too much.
I
Writers
think
were
the
loving it too
writers were
much.
loving it too much
Yeah,
because
and like
like
so everybody was like, "No, let's keep it going." And I think that's what happened. But
but also like if you did want the different ending, you could have stayed and you should see it through. I think so.
well, what's
For
done
man,
is done. Like
I
we'll
will
have
not miss this era when it ends, actually. Because,
really.
like,
Wow.
I'm very much over it. I've been over it since I think Ten of Swords.
Oh wow. I will miss this era. Uh first of all, I think Storm has had some of the best stories I've ever
On
read.
one side, like, on the other side, she was so far removed from everyone she has connection to, and she's been spending her time everywhere but with the X-Men, which kind of rubs me the wrong way because I love her dynamics within the team.
Yeah, I mean she has been mostly like on Mars and dealing with stuff over there, but like we've had Magneto over there, we've had Sunspot over there, and she's met some new characters, and I kind of like the new characters over there. Like I really am a fan of Al Ewing and his storytelling, so I like that aspect of it. I like Kieran Gillen, like he's a veteran of the X-Men comics, like he was writing it back in the Utopia days, and I think he's written some interesting stuff this
And
time
those are
around.
some of my favorite comics,
Yeah,
Utopia.
like he's a good writer, so like I don't I can't completely dismiss everything that happened after
No, no,
Hickman,
no, no. We
but
had like a lot of great issues, a lot of great runs even. But to me, it's always like I love it when it's over. But during, not everything works for me. And
mhm.
with issues lately, I love moments. I love like some scenes or some character moments, some badass storm appearances. But the story in general, not always what I would love to see.
Yeah, that's a fair opinion. I think a lot of people are giving this ending to the Krakoa era very mixed reviews, and yeah, like I said, for me, I'll just wait and see how it ends before I give my final judgment on it. But
Yeah, but that
yeah,
ending, a little bit mushed ending, can affect the perception of the whole run.
that's true. Yeah. But also we have to figure out if we're going to like the new run or not, the new
Oh,
direction.
don't even start. I'm so afraid. I already like saw the titles that are coming, and there are some odd choices that I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I'm trying to again reserve judgment, wait till it comes out, wait till we get a few issues in to decide if I want to stick with it or just drop out. Because sometimes a big changeover like this is a good time to drop out
Well, or drop in. On the contrary, a lot of
or
people
drop
are looking
in.
to
Yeah, I think
start.
it'll bring in a lot of new fans, but I think it might alienate a lot of old fans. But who knows?
I
We'll
think
see.
that
Um,
probably the people who didn't like the Krakoa era and dropped out, they might pop back in and check out what's going on. But to
mhm.
me, the X-Men are best when they trying to coexist with humans, not go the separate way. So I'll be waiting for that.
That's a fair point. I mean, I I never really looked at the Krakoa era as like not coexisting with humans. Like, yes, they were more separatist and nationalist, like they had their own island, but it was still on Earth.
I mean,
They
not
didn't
for
completely
Storm.
leave for Mars. Like, yeah, some of like the Iraqi mutants, like they went to Mars, Storm went to Mars, but like most of the mutants were still on Earth, and they just wanted to have a nice place to live, like whether it's a
Yeah,
mansion or an island. Like,
I
I
feel
just feel
like
like let them have a nice place to live.
from the beginning, I felt like maybe we could come back to that nice place to live that would work when we have it in real life. Because like so far we have still so many issues that we have to reflect. So probably
Yeah.
it's
And
too
that's funny
early
because
for a
remember
nice place.
And that's what the Morlocks said way back in 92. Like they were like, when it's nice up there on the surface, that's when we'll come live at the mansion with you. Until
Yeah.
then, we're good here in the sewers. Like we're just used to it. That's the way it is. So I don't know. I don't want to live in the sewers, but
Me neither. But I do want to live in the mansion.
right, like that was a nice place to live until it got blown up several times.
Well,
Um,
a lot of times.
but yeah, that's the life of a mutant. All right, well, on happier news, let's see. Is there any happy news to end this
Oh,
episode on?
well, the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine. I already talked
Yeah, we
about
got
that a
that
little.
coming out. Uh, I mean, I don't know if that's happy because there might be a lot of murdering and killing and death happening in that movie. But we'll see.
Yeah, but probably Gambit is alive.
Do you
Oh, not.
okay? Do you think that they will bring Channing Tatum to play Gambit, or do you think
Oh,
they'll bring back
I
Taylor?
would.
What was his name? Taylor something.
That guy, what's his name? I don't know. I
Yeah, who
don't.
played Gambit in the Fox movies?
I, I want to say I remember his name, but I don't.
I'll
I do
look it
remember
up.
that he was there.
Mhm.
Either way, I don't know. Like Marvel could do anything; they could do that. But also, I don't think that he's my first pick. Either one of them is my first pick for Gambit. I also don't
Taylor
know who he
Kish.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully not.
I don't know. I think we'll see a lot of different cameos, but
Yeah,
they might all
definitely.
die like they did in X and Deadpool 2.
Yes.
Or in the comics book where Deadpool kills the Marvel universe.
Also true. Yes, good point.
It's like
We
where
might
Deadpool
come out of
shows
this
up,
more
there's
traumatized.
yeah, we can't catch a break, but uh well, let's just end this and say at least we'll hopefully make it to next episode where we can see what the X-Men are up to, you know.
Yeah, also,
We'll
at
always
least
be
some of
tuning
them are
in.
still alive.
At least
Okay.
some of them, right?
Yeah, some Storm is coming back eventually.
Yeah.
So
All right.
yay.
Well, thank you so much, Polly, for joining me
Thank
again on
you.
this episode. It's been great to hear your opinions about this episode. And thank you to all our listeners who've made it this far. You guys are amazing. Please like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment, let us know your thoughts. And oh wait, before we go, did you want to share your social media? Sorry.
Oh well, it's the same as the last time. Car
Yeah.
underscore mix everywhere except
All right.
X.
Yeah, and I'm at DMVCBN. So yeah, you can always follow us, talk to us. We're always talking about comic books and movies and stuff and shows like this. All right. Excelsior, everybody. Bye bye.
Okay, ciao.